Hi, and welcome back to Cancel Weekly. That's Candace. He's Gerard. I'm Mickey. And today on Cancel Weekly, we have Tony Tokyo spilling the tea. We got Matt and Jim Carrey's award show speeches. We have Disney chemtrails. We have undercover farters. But first, we have Tucker Carlson and Sean Ryan talking about dads and daughters. All this and more on Cancel Weekly.
Try to marry a girl who likes her dad.
Why do you think that's important? I've never heard anybody say that.
Because I've noticed it. I've noticed it a lot. Up close. This is just an observation of mine. But, everyone's disappointed by his dad or her dad in later life. Like, you learn that your dad's human and, holy shit, I can't believe he's human. I thought he was God. That's natural. But, when you're 8, if you're deeply disappointed in your dad, especially as a girl, that leaves a mark. And I've known women who had terrible relationships with their fathers who are wonderful people and well-balanced people. But it's harder, for sure. Whereas a woman who, grew up really loving her dad and feeling secure in his leadership as a dad and his love as a dad, that girl is more secure and less jumpy, and she's not, thinking that every argument's going to lead to divorce.
I saw the full interview. I'm sure you did as well.
I only saw that clip. The clip that I saw was like 10 minutes long.
Sean Ryan, first of all, Sean Ryan's done a fantastic job.
Is this for we rolling?
Yeah. So Sean Ryan's done a fantastic job. His show is incredible, and the Tucker Carlson episode was really very, very good. Because Tucker Carlson's dad worked for the CIA, Sean Ryan worked for the CIA, so there was a lot of deep stuff. But that was a very interesting part of it, that it kind of took a little bit of a left turn, and Sean Ryan was talking about his trouble with women, and then Tucker Carlson was basically like, find a girl that likes your dad. And that was like his number one advice. Mm-hmm. I thought it was very interesting because back in the day when you're out there, just trolling the club waters, you wanted to find a girl that didn't like her dad. So I guess it makes sense in the inverse.
Yeah, I guess for longevity, you want someone who does like their dad. But I think you can make it work either way. I just think there's going to be obstacles you're going to have to overcome. You know what I mean? If she doesn't trust her dad, she's probably going to have a harder time trusting you. That's going to be something you're going to have to earn over time if that girl is worth it to you.
And this is not a new thing. This is like the premise of Othello, right? Like, the king going to Othello, if she would go against my word, she'll go against yours. And that put the seed of doubt into his mind. And a lot of Shakespearean fans, I'm sure, are watching Canceled Weekly right now to get that reference. But yeah, I mean, your relationship with your father was...
Oh, horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah, absolutely horrible. I think no matter what your relationship, when you're building a life with someone, there's always going to be hurdles and obstacles because you're two individuals that are trying to become a we. So there's going to be a lot of things that you have to figure out together in order to co-create and like build a life and a family together. But when I watched that longer clip, I was like, I think Tucker's talking to me directly, because the way that he was describing his experience with women that don't have a good relationship with their dad, for me, it was spot on. You get an attachment issue, and it's either going to be avoidant or anxious. So you're either going to run away from the problem, and kind of how he described jumpy. I've never been able to kind of articulate what I've struggled with, especially when it comes to intimacy, like real connection, especially with the masculine, with my husband. And jumpy nailed it. It's like you feel so uncertain or unsafe that any problem, and it could be pretty small, and you're like, it's jumpy. You're like, okay, am I safe? Is this relationship safe? Like, where is like my North Star in all of this? Or you have anxious, which is chasing after the other person. That one's not me. I'm definitely more avoidant when I feel insecure. And yeah, if like you're young and you're trying to find your forever person, of course it's going to be easier with someone that has a healthy relationship with both of their parents. And it's the same when you're looking for a man as a woman. So choose the level you want to play at, but also no one is going to be just a walk in the park. You're doing something really serious when you commit to somebody. So part of it too is, who do you fall in love with? Are you going to walk around with this checklist of these are all of the things that I have, or are you going to listen to something that's more divine and intuitive and then say, like, is this person worth all of the potential struggles that I see coming from their life story?
What type of work did you have to do to not allow the issues with your father affect your marriage?
It's still ongoing. I would say the two biggest things that I will say have like saved my marriage, saved my family, saved myself. The first one was doing BioCybernaut, which was neurofeedback, and that was a week long of 14-hour sessions. And
BioCybernaut?
It's how to master your mind. So how to get into a flow state, how to get into a theta state, and it kind of progresses from there. But it's not as like sciencey and technical as it sounds outright. Like, it's a lot of personal development, love, forgiveness, going through a lot of these patterns that you may have developed through just life, and getting to the other side of it with a different perspective. And then the other one more recently is I did an MDMA psilocybin facilitated ceremony with my husband and just the facilitator. So it was just the three of us. And it has changed my life in such a dramatic way. And I'm like still in the integration and orienting phase of it, because it was only a week and a half ago. But like, I've never experienced love like that. And for the first time, I was talking to Gerard about this. I get so emotional still. For the first time, like, realized how unsafe I had just like always felt, and that like Eric's got me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to like let him in. So it's a lot.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Very vulnerable. So to surmise then, how did you get over it? Drugs.
Well, no, because the first one wasn't. The first one was totally sober. And then I think also it's being honest with yourself. And like, there's this Rumi quote, and it's, your objective is not to find love. It's to find all the ways that you have built barriers from receiving it and letting it in. And what that says to me, it's not looking for the answers outside of yourself, but like internally. And where can you take accountability in all of this, and how can you let go and let someone in? Sure. So it's just like continuing to work together, because I don't think that the story's ever done. I think having kids is a new season and a new phase, and then jobs change and you change. Like, the longer you're with someone, and he articulated this as well, when you're with someone for over a decade or 2 decades, and Eric and I are going on 15 years, neither of us are the same person that we were when we met, but it's
different chapters of life.
How do you grow together? And it's constantly checking in, and again, like holding each other and yourself to the highest integrity, and being honest in that communication.
Well, let's address the elephant in the room. The audience is obviously going to be listening to this, and you know, as cliche as it sounds, and you know, we love you. There's no judgment in this, but you know, I guess it presupposes that porn is bad and that sex work is bad. Do you think if you had had a better relationship with your father, that you would have ended up in the adult entertainment industry?
I don't know. And the thing with the presupposes, or like the, I guess, like the what ifs, there's this woman, I think she's at Harvard, and she's studying consciousness. It's not to make the right decision, but to make the decision right. And I think that you can fall into the trap of saying, you know, what if my dad was there? What if my mom was there? And all of these things. And obviously that's what you want for a little kid. You want stability, you want love, you want acceptance, you want curiosity and cultivation and all of these things. That's not the case for so many people. So rather than like backtrack and say what ifs, right? It's how can I make the decision right? And for me now, it's to try to make decisions that are in integrity with who I want to be, who I am, and like what's best for my family. So, I mean, short answer, probably not, right? I don't think most people get into that industry if they...
Feeling loved, financially secure, stable.
Right. Like, there is some part of like you're seeking validation in some way, right? But you do that in a lot of different fields. You can do that in comedy. You can do that in acting. You can do that in fighting.
Bartending. Hooters.
But anything. You can do anything out of integrity. So it's not whether or not like getting into sex work or porn is integral or not. I think everyone has to decide what those morals mean for themselves, but it's why are you getting in, and to really know your answer. And what I came to find after doing this most recent ceremony is like, I don't really know my answer, and I can maybe spend the rest of my life like trying to nitpick and say like what traumas did that, or I can make the decision right, and that's more like future oriented, and it's like, it's not victim-y. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. And one of the things I respect maybe most about you is that you've never made any excuses, or even, matter of fact, you spend most of the time defending the morality of the situation. So it's not like, you've never once been like, oh, poor me, woe is me. You've always taken agency for all of your decisions. And, again, everything that we're talking about like presupposes that's bad. You've had a pretty good life here. You've made some cool things out of it too, right? So. But I do think that there is, in that industry, it's very predatory, and vulnerable women that don't have a father figure or a brother in their life are very easy for those predators. I mean, we talked about the Andrew Tates of the world before, and like what they're able to do. And I mean, were you saying that the Miami industry is like they'll just pull girls off the street, and it's
guys too.
They'll just pull guys off the street.
Yeah, I mean, there's still testing, so they do get tested, but it's not as professional as LA shooting is. So that doesn't happen there. And I think part of the reason is Miami porn was kind of founded as the gonzo guerrilla shooting reality hub, and it's just kind of grown since then. So when you have that, when you have someone, even if they're clean and they're tested and they aren't experienced and they don't know, it's going to sound crazy, but the ethics and how you behave with other people, because it's still supposed to be a professional setting. You might have people hitting on each other, making uncomfortable situations, trying to hook up after, because people have this idea that you're supposed to be like this sexual thing, and then I don't know, it's very different. It's like more of a wild west, I feel like, where in LA there's a lot bigger sets, it's more professional, people have been in for 20 years, they have families, they're not trying to fuck around, like they're there to make a piece of entertainment.
So the other thing with the women that have let's just call them daddy issues or whatever, they may be very standoffish or wild in the beginning, but once you kind of get through that, the worst part I think is how clingy they get. Like if you break through a barrier and then do like,
well, that would be anxious
feel
attachment.
safe with you or something like that, like then they get crazy with you. Like, why haven't you called me? It's been 2 hours.
Right, but it's not necessarily daddy issues again. So you have like your primary 3 attachment styles. So you have secure, which is less than 30% of people have secure attachment. You have anxious and you have avoidant, and then there's some hybrids where they kind of mash together. Fearful is
so
in there
secure,
as well. Secure,
which means
that healthy. That's like where you want to be is secure, and you kind of can ebb and flow. And the goal is to figure out which one you are and try your best to get to secure, even if you're only touching it for moments. But you can have a relationship where you don't need proximity. Proximity is kind of the most juvenile form of attachment. So toddlers go through this, which is I have to be close to you to feel attached and love. And some adults never get there, right? Proximity is still a thing. Like, why haven't you texted? Why haven't you called? I haven't seen you in 2 days. So proximity is still one of their main ways to connect to somebody. So
I see that a lot with women who they get in a relationship and then they like never hang out with their girlfriends again until the relationship's on the rocks. Then all of a sudden we'll have a girls' night or something. They'll go away for years.
Right. Yeah. So you have that. You have sameness, which is another way to attach to somebody. So liking the same things, losing your personal identity and kind of falling into that. I mean, attachment theory is pretty vast, but to kind of make it condensed, you have the secure, and again, like, you don't need proximity, you don't need a lot of check-ins. Think of yourself as a succulent, right? You need a very little watering, some sunlight, and you are good. And that's how the relationship dynamic is. Then you have your anxious, which is anytime we get in a fight or I feel triggered, I'm going to be that clingy, that needy. I need validation. I need to know we're okay. I feel that you are going to abandon me. And then you have avoidant, which is still fear of abandonment, but it's the opposite. It's I'm not going to express vulnerability, and because I'm uncertain of what this relationship is going to do or where I stand in it, I'm actually going to try to self-sabotage and leave. And that's me. Like, I'm definitely avoidant.
Me too.
Yeah, we're broken. So,
yeah.
It's
She didn't like the dinner I made. I guess this relationship's over.
right. So it's to get to a place where you can recognize that without judgment and take full ownership over that and say, hey, I can't trust my mind right now because I know this is my tendency. How can I assume the best, and what do I need to do in order to be secure? And it's not the other person. This is all an inside job. So if you're looking for your other person to make you secure, it's never going to happen. Never going to happen.
Interesting.
It's a lot.
Ah,
But,
super
yeah.
interesting.
Oh, it's very-
that
yeah, that's-
shed a lot of light for sure. Speaking of shedding light, Tokyo Tony spilled some tea here.
If I do this, give them the signs that I'm good.
Oh, sorry.
TV.
This avoidant personality over here.
If I do this, give them the signs that I'm good. Hey, y'all see me start taking pictures? They're like, oh, she giving them signs. I'm like, my eye. They be like, yeah, we got influence.
We got her. We got her.
Gonna get them.
So that's Tokyo Tony. For people that don't know, that's Black China's mom, and she's been in and around the music and Hollywood industry, LA, and all this stuff for 30 plus years. And the longer form of that interview is very interesting. She named names, and she was talking about who's the girl that they put with Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl. It's like, that's an interesting plant. Spice something or other.
Ice Spice. Yeah, she did something like with the showing some.
So basically, Tokyo Tonio's thing there is that the satanic cult is 100% real. Call it the Illuminati. Call it whatever you want. They do worship
Is the
Satan.
Illuminati satanic?
If you want, I mean, dude, I don't know. All this stuff is like so in the shadows.
Like
but
the
you have,
Illuminati, that's like there's real that's a real thing.
yeah, but what there's different. I think there's different. Like Bohemian Grove is a real thing. We know Bohemian Grove is real now, and that these rich and famous politicians and businessmen and actors and all the elites, they go to Bohemian Grove and they do a quote unquote fake human sacrifice, kneeling before burning statues of Moloch. When CERN first opened, they did a ceremony to pagan gods, which is fine, but it was like the bad pagan gods. Apparently, it was like the more evil of the spirit. So like all of these things, they sound crazy. It's very tinfoil hatty. And then you see all of this stuff, and you see these Grammy performances, and you see Sam Smith, and you see Lil Nas X, and you see everybody doing these things, and you say, well, are they just trolling us? The sixth god, like Drake is out here praying to the sixth god, and you say like, well, there is either something to this because everybody's doing it, or they're just trolling the lunatics. And I don't know where I stand on this, but it seems very interesting. And then there's those people who kind of come out of LA and they talk about it and they're like, no, this shit's very real. We eat human flesh. We drink blood. Megan Fox talking about drinking blood with Machine Gun Kelly. Yeah.
Who were some of the names that she named in the video?
Well, she was talking about Jay-Z, Beyonce. I believe she was talking about, this was like right after Diddy, I guess, got exposed. And then she was like, oh, that's nothing. And then she was talking about this lady who's a witch. She said the Kardashians are witches. They're like in a coven. Like, it's a lot of crazy shit, man.
Well, yeah, that seems weird.
It's weird, but I mean, I also don't believe in any of the spiritual stuff. So you're our
Gerard,
spiritual.
I just need you to come to a retreat, and we'll have you see some stuff.
Bro, it's hot chicks and drugs. I'm there. I will go.
I believe in all of that. I think that there are good forces of good and there are forces of evil. I think that there's like life and anti-life energies out there, and when you see what's happening, let's take it more scientific for you. Maybe this will land more. If you're looking at things like Neuralink and you're implanting these threads into your brain, and then what you are thinking is literally having an effect right here in the 3D. You're moving a cursor around. You're able to dictate. Hopefully, eventually, those messages and those thoughts will be able to have your body move after a severe injury. So even from that level, your thoughts are incredibly powerful. Your intentions are incredibly powerful.
I believe in unseen. I want to be clear. Like, I believe in, we've all felt it when you look at somebody and then they turn around out of nowhere and look at you because they could feel you looking at them.
Yeah.
They're feeling something. There's some sort of energy transfer.
Or you're thinking about someone, they call you on the phone.
Thinking about someone,
That's
they
a
call
real
you on the
thing.
phone.
Yeah.
You've been at a bar with somebody, you catch eyes and immediately feel that there's an attraction and there's some sort of like connection. There's 100%. You know, by the time you sit down in your seat on a date, this ain't it. By the time you sit down, we all have that intuition. And so I believe in the unseen, 100%. Do I believe that there's a child trafficking satanic cult that is drinking children's blood and forcing aspiring artists to do acts of
Yes.
I don't know about the last part, but the first half of that sentence is 100% true. So we've worked with some nonprofits that work specifically in child trafficking and women being sex trafficked, mostly in Nepal. But the things that they have seen and what these people are being abducted for, a lot of it is actually for rituals.
Really?
Yeah. It's the ones that, because they're not working in this part of the world primarily, but a lot of it was happening in Africa. A lot of it was happening in Nepal. So people were abducting women and children for rituals. Yeah. Or for organ transfer as well.
Have you ever seen Dr. Sleep, you guys?
No.
Christian, really quick, pull up Dr. Sleep child scene. This is graphic. Warning.
Oh, I don't want to watch that then. I'm still in my window. I can't watch it.
All right, don't
can't
watch
watch
it.
it.
Then. So, you know what Dr. Sleep is, though?
No.
So Dr. Sleep is the sequel to The Shining.
You don't want to watch it, but we're just
So-
going to describe it to you in a lot of detail.
Yeah, I don't need a lot. So here's my issue. I'm still a week and a half in, and for 2.5 weeks after you do this medicine, you are open. And basically what you're doing is you're reprogramming your neural network and your nervous system. So it is the best time to create new habits and kind of like, what do you want for your life? So you're supposed to be super intentional about your thoughts, your actions, what you're watching. I'm like, great, I'm going down to go do Canceled
Yeah,
Weekly.
why would you go and spend time with Gerard?
We're going to go do a bunch of PG Canceled Weeklies here. Hakuna Matata. Let's just watch our favorite nice things. All right, well, in a week and a half, we'll come back and have you watch that. And it becomes like a thing. To your point, man, there's an awful lot of stories and a lot of detail about these things that definitely don't exist. They're definitely making a lot of movies that are like, oh, the only way that these eternally young creatures can stay alive is by torturing and stealing the soul and the essence of these children. And it's like, which is basically the plot of Monsters, Inc. Mm-hmm. So, pretty wild. Mm-hmm. Let people know in the comments. Anybody who's seen Dr. Sleep, go in the comments and tell me if you know what I'm talking about.
For the sake of Candace's well-being, we're going to transition to our next clip. Here we got Matthew McConaughey at an award show.
A few things, about 3 things to my account that I need. One of them is something to look up to, another is something to look forward to, and another is someone to chase. First off, I want to thank God, because that's who I look up to. To my family, that's who and what I look forward to. To my father, who I know is up there right now. To my mother, who's here tonight. To my wife, Camilla, and my kids. You are the 4 people in my life that I want to make the most proud of me. And to my hero, that's who I chase. It's me in 10 years. So you see, every day, every week, every month, and every year of my life, my hero's always 10 years away. I'm never going to be my hero. And that's just fine with me, because that keeps me with somebody to keep on chasing. So to any of us, whatever it is we look up to, whatever it is we look forward to, and whoever it is we're chasing, to that I say amen. To that I say, all right, all right, all right.
All right, McConaughey. Gerard, you're pretty cynical. What are your thoughts on that?
I love the first 20 seconds of it. The last 10 seconds, I was like, oh, my hero is me in 10 years. Okay, bro. But everything else I thought was great. I loved it. I have to like everything. I have to be okay with everything they say.
Absolutely not.
I think everything, 90% of what he said, I was like, that was really cool. That was really sweet. Very powerful for a guy in a room full of people who hate God, a lot of Satanists, to be like, I thank God. I'm like, all right, that took some balls, white boy. And, but that, hey, look, this is why actors have writers, Mick. This is why actors have writers, Can't
What?
improv at all.
What do you mean this is why actors have writers? I thought he nailed it.
No, he did great. I'm being a dick.
Oh.
He did great.
Yeah, his speeches are awesome. I went on a little McConaughey rabbit hole today because I wanted to find something. I just started Greenlights, the audio version, and I'm only a few minutes in. I'm like, this is already so amazing and so much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's good.
And the thing that I think that stuck out the most that I genuinely had no idea about him is like he is a wild man in all of the best ways possible, and just seems to be unapologetically authentic, where he is, like you said, in a room full of people that probably don't share a lot of his values, principles, or beliefs, and he is still showing up as himself and saying, like, these are the things that matter, which are your family, God, and chasing a better version of yourself. And then the thing that I liked the most about that, which is, it's funny because it's the part you didn't like, is we put so many of these people we don't know on a pedestal and we say that's my role model, but all you have are these little snapshots that they choose to share with you, whether it's in film, music, on Instagram, whatever. You have no idea if that should be the person that you're chasing to aspire to be. So instead of that, do that. Chase the best version of yourself, because you're never going to attain it. Perfection's impossible in this human body, but what you can do is find a version of like your higher self, or that 10-year goal. Like, where's the best version of me in 10 years, and chase that. And then that's the only like true thing that's in alignment with yourself, not putting anyone else in that spot.
Interesting.
All right, I've changed my mind. I like that part of the speech.
You're in now.
I'm in. Now I'm in.
All right, well, let's see how in you are with Jim Carrey's award show speech.
Thank you. I am two-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey. You know, when I go to sleep at night, I'm not just a guy going to sleep. I'm two-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey going to get some well-needed shut-eye. And when I dream, I don't just dream any old dream. No, sir. I dream about being three-time Golden Globe winning actor Jim Carrey. Because then I would be enough. It would finally be true. And I could stop this terrible search.
That was amazing. That's such a good clip. That was yours, right?
Yeah.
I love that clip.
I love it too. I love how, first of all, he's just taking the piss out of the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to act like this is so important, but, you know, he's become very, like, existential, profound, deep, whatever, you know, the word is, that he's, like, on, like, another plane right now, Jim Carrey. He's not just, you know, Ace Ventura, we're used to, you know, we've seen him as in all his great movies, but now he's, like, seems to be a very deep thinker. Mm-hmm. What are your guys' thoughts on him?
I'm a huge fan. I've loved the evolution and the honesty of who he is as a person. And what was he did a documentary where he was describing that he realized he was playing the role of Jim Carrey for such a long time. And I feel like that's probably very relatable to a lot of people, especially people that are creating content, is you start to be this person that you are expected to be in order to get the love and the attention and the accolades. And as you start to see success in whatever it is you're doing, whether it's winning an award or any kind of title, you still feel the same. You think that something is going to fundamentally shift once you get this thing, and then it doesn't, and then you're left
I'll be okay once
more.
I get blah.
Right.
Once I get blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. It's that, I think they call that a hedonic treadmill.
Okay.
Where you're just constantly just spinning the wheels thinking, all right, that next thing, then I'm going to be good. I'm going to be happy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you keep hitting those checkpoints, but you're not feeling the fulfillment that you're expecting or looking for.
Yeah, that's why I liked that he put the end note of, well, once I get the third one, then it'll be fine. So
then I can stop this search. I can, you know, I'll be whole.
So it's like, even after it doesn't work the first time, you're like, okay, well, I just need the second one. And then you get the second one, you're like, well, I just need the third one. And for some reason, we can't admit that that's not the thing that we need.
Yeah.
Right?
It's within. It's not external.
Mm-hmm.
So Patrick Bet-David would have hated this, because he's exactly like that. There's no such thing as a hedonic treadmill. You get 10 million, you need 20 million. You get 20 million, you need 50. Otherwise,
it is the hedonic treadmill.
Otherwise, you're a pussy. You're not.
But that's exactly what the treadmill is.
Correct. So and it's not just, all the prophet preachers, whether it's, Cardone or whether, Dan Pena or whatever, you need more, complacency is the enemy. And it's never okay for you to feel okay with yourself. We talked about the yin and the yang a couple episodes back. And that was one of the things, like, I never really vibed with the valuetainment model. It was like that constant grind. I was like, I don't really care. I don't care. Like, I want to do cool shit with cool people, and I don't, like, the financial success will come. I've had money. I've lost it all. I've had nothing. Like, I don't care. Like, I drive a Jeep, that barely works. I don't really, I don't give a shit. Will my life be that much better in a Range Rover? I don't think it would. It does nothing for me, right? So in that regard, I understand Jim Carrey, but at the same time, like, ambition is really powerful, and having goals and wanting to succeed is also very powerful. And, this is why I try to like Jordan Peterson is my shot of Jack, and then Alan Watts is my chaser, and I try to listen to somebody about, hey, get off your ass, Jocko Willnick, get off your ass and get it done. And then, maybe somebody else that's like, take a second and appreciate where everything's at too, and it's kind of that, all gas, no brakes, you're going to crash. All brakes, no gas, you don't get anywhere in life. That's
a little bit of balance.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I think the complacency part is interesting because Napoleon Hill, it references complacency as one of the tools of the devil. So it's an act to kind of self-sabotage your best self and your enlightenment ultimately. I think what gets misunderstood a lot of the times is being at peace with yourself, loving yourself, and accepting everything for what it is does not mean to be complacent and not to still strive for perfection and growth. It's the opposite. It's saying all of this is okay, but it's still my duty to still try to improve incrementally. And I think the difference is when you have ambition, that's more egocentric and more takey, and it seems darker. But when you're chasing growth, that's something else. It's kind of like what we were describing with the other episode, the difference between ego and contribution. And both things can get things done, but it's the energy and what you put into it. And it's like, what are you doing the thing for? So ambition to me kind of is for myself, very selfish. And then growth is affecting everyone around you in a positive way. And I think it was actually a Trump interview from the 90s where he was talking about how people were describing him as ambitious. And he's like, I would never call myself ambitious because to me, that's someone you can't trust. That's someone that's going to weasel and they're going to come in and try to take. And it's ultimately self-interest that is driving that person. And I've never looked at that word the same after I watched that interview.
Well, I'll be specific, and this is going to sound like I'm talking shit about Pat, but I'm not. So when I first met him in Texas, it was 5-6 years ago. His children were very small, and he had this big party at his house and big barbecue, and it was very nice. And he got his kid a hot dog, and the nanny goes, "Oh no, he doesn't like hot dogs." Patrick was like shocked. He was like, "What do you mean he doesn't like hot dogs?" And Pat had been working so hard for so much, he legitimately didn't know his son didn't like hot dogs. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't know what his son likes to eat. Mm-hmm. Now, you could say, man, that guy's working too much or neglecting. Now, 5 years on, they're living in a $20 million house, and the kid's getting the best of the world has to offer and everything. So does it really matter that he didn't know that the kid didn't like hot dogs? Or
you'll have to ask his son in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you can try to answer that for him. He can try to answer it, but you can't answer for your own child's experience. Like, they're going to tell you once they're an adult. And I think it's just, again, it comes down to alignment, and only you know if what you're doing is aligned or not. Mm-hmm. You're going to have seasons where, you're on the grind, especially as a dad, because I think, the masculine is more of that doer, provide energy. And I think that's typically where it falls. But I think what is going to be aligned for you, like once you have a child, is going to be different than you if you have a child. And you have to check in with yourself with integrity to know that, because you'll have an itch. You'll be like, I'm neglecting my family a little bit, or I'm neglecting work a little bit. Mm-hmm. And you're the only one that can answer that.
I think unbridled ambition is bad, but there was a humility there that was very endearing, right? Because it's not like Jim Carrey saying, I'm not going to go out, and you to your point, Maggie is taking the piss, and Ricky Gervais did this better than anybody else. It's like, we have 17 award shows, but there's like 6 good movies a year. What are we doing here? Yeah. Like, how many award shows do we need? There's 4 movies that are any decent any year, So he's out there and he's showing that humility. And I feel like back in the day, people were humble when they were receiving awards, or they would thank God, or they would thank their family. And then out of nowhere, I think maybe Trump kind of destroyed people's brains, and everything became like this clarion call for revolution from the from the communist left. It's like we're gonna fight back against these fascists. Remember the Stranger Things guy, David Harbour, punch him in the mouth, and it was like, dude, you're not actually a real tough guy. You play one on TV, buddy. Like, what are you talking about? Punch everybody who disagrees with you in the mouth? Like, all right, relax, Stranger Things guy. Like, calm down. Like, so yeah, and Ricky Gervais, I don't think was invited back after he told him what's what, like straight to their face, right? So
he seems like he's the man.
Oh, he's top 5 guys I want to meet on Earth.
How come he hasn't been on Rogan yet? Like, I'm waiting for that.
I don't know.
It just seems like a conversation that should have happened years ago.
I feel like because everybody wants him on Rogan, Ricky Gervais will never give it to us.
Oh no,
he will never give it to us. Like there'll be a tragic death, and Rogan will die at 99, and the 102-year-old Ricky Gervais will be like, "Oh, I was scheduled to go on next week." Like that seems to be his kind of a thing. Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for that duo.
So if you could have, so my top 3 that I would love to have a conversation with.
Live people,
my top 3. Ricky Gervais. I would love to have Russell Brand. I feel like Ricky Gervais, Russell Brand would be incredible. And number 3, let me see if you guys can guess number 3. One-on-one for 1 hour.
Patrick.
No, I've had a lot of those conversations.
So give me a hint.
Yeah, we
Is
need
it
a
someone
hint.
you like or
Close.
someone you don't like?
Barack Hussein Obama.
All right, that's what I.
Love
See, that's
to
where I
have a
thought you were
conversation
gonna go.
for an hour
That's
with
where I thought
Obama.
you were gonna go with it.
Love.
Yeah, what would you like to talk to him about?
I'd like to see if I can get any truth out of him. I'd like to do it with Hillary too, but I don't feel secure enough.
You wouldn't make it out of that interview.
Yeah, you wouldn't make it out of that room, dog.
Who's your 3? Who's your 3?
That's a tough one. I would say definitely Giselle. Like I think she's such an interesting lady.
I heard Giselle and her boyfriend broke up after the Tom Brady roast.
Yeah, she finally
Yeah,
broke the hold.
Yeah. And I don't know much about who the guy was, but
he was a jiu-jitsu instructor up in Boston.
yeah, but is he like renowned or?
Now he is.
I feel like it has to be so hard when you have that level of fame and wealth to find, especially as a woman, to find a partner. Like how does she date a regular instructor? Like their worlds are so apart.
I would like to figure out a way to try it with her.
Like restaurant, like think restaurants, vacations.
Just ignored it. Just ignored it
I don't know.
completely.
Like how does he ever feel comfortable in her world? I'm sure she seems very down to earth. I think she'd be fine. Like I don't think she would do it with judgment, but like a man, how would a man wrap his head around all of that? It seems like a really big task. So of course they were gonna break up. I think she has to be with someone who's like very dominant in his field. You know what I mean?
Well, martial artists, we are like the most dominant people on the planet.
But like he would have to be like the number one in that space.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Ryan and Giselle Bunchkin. Is that?
Who else would I want to talk to? I think Russell would probably be on my list as well. And I'm trying to think of a lady.
It's hard to find a woman you actually give a shit about, huh?
No, it's weird. It's there's not a lot of women in like the personal development space or the leadership space for women, right? So what you find is a lot of women that are absorbing a lot of masculine content. It's not to say that that's bad because we both have both in us, but I think with most women residing so much in their masculine already that it can kind of put them in a place where they're neglecting their feminine. So I do think it's important that you follow the energy that you want to be in, and I want to be more in my feminine.
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
There's an old school feminist. I'm forgetting her. I'm blanking on her
Duncan
name
Trussell.
right
That's going to be it. I'm not going to just do it off of sex. I'm going to say Duncan Trussell.
Camille Paglia. I would
Yeah.
love to have a conversation with Camille Paglia. Old school feminist. just a brilliant thinker, and she's been sidelined by the whole movement because she called out fourth wave feminism for being regressive about 10, 15 years ago. So they just...
I think Michael mentioned her to me when I saw him.
Brilliant, a brilliant writer, brilliant thinker. I would love to talk to Camille Paglia.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk to no one. I'm not interested in talking to no one. I get to talk to you guys. I got a lot of good people in my life I could talk to. I don't really have anyone I aspire to talk to.
Who'd you like to do jiu-jitsu with if you could roll with anybody?
I don't
know. You
want
to roll with The Rock, see what it feels like?
See what it feels like?
See what it feels like? Just, see if there's a connection, make eye contact.
That's all right. Anyway, Disney dubbed some chemtrails in their movies. Y'all hear about this? Y'all know about this?
No.
Hear about this? Read about this?
Mm-mm.
One of my clients, one of my patients, is a producer in Hollywood.
Kriegte vor 2 Jahren einen Auftrag von Disney.
2 years ago, he received a task from Disney.
Alle alten Disney-Movies zu überarbeiten.
To go over and edit all the old Disney movies.
In den Himmel diese Streifen einzubauen.
To put into the scenes of the sky these stripes.
So, when people see a Disney movie
also wenn dann die Leute einen Disney-Film schauen heutzutage
und sagen, well, Klinghardt, du sagst Klinghardt, dass diese Streifenbildung erst in den letzten Jahren so schlimm geworden ist.
And then for example, people say today, well, Klinghardt, you're talking about these stripes being formed on the sky today, only as of late.
Dann sagen sie, hier ist ein Film von 1954, guck dir den Himmel an.
Then they will say,
der hat die gleichen Streifen drin.
Look at this movie here from 1954. There are the same stripes at the sky.
Die Streifen sind ein natürliches Phänomen.
That then convince people that the stripes are a natural phenomenon.
Mein Patient hatte für $60 Millionen bekommen.
My patient received for this job $60 million.
Wait, so the guy went back in, was paid $60 million to put chemtrails in old movies?
That appears to be, that's the allegation. The allegation is like that Disney is trying to gaslight future generations into thinking that these cloud formations and the stripes in the skies were always there, and that this is not a new thing, which became interesting because people were defending it as there's a difference between none of the research that I did on it,
Comtrails and chemtrails.
Yeah, none of the research I did on it denied that Disney did this, first of all, which is weird. But they were just like, those aren't chemtrails, those are contrails, and contrails happen.
They come from like the jet engine, right?
That's what they say. And that's,
And chemtrails are there to change the environment.
Yeah, which they swear to God doesn't happen, except now they admit it happens all the time with cloud seeding, and that they're
right to make it rain or
and that they're they're putting clouds over the ocean to cool down the ocean temperature, and that they're injecting silver into the clouds to
This is a Paw Patrol thing, just so you know. This is in Paw Patrol. There's Mayor Humdinger, which is the guy that likes cats, so we already know we don't like him. And there was a scientist that was making weather control and cloud control, and then he got this weapon and started to change the weather.
This is G.I. Joe. They were fighting over the weather dominator for like 4 seasons.
Well,
they actually played hockey.
These guys got their fingers on the pulse.
They actually played hockey on an aircraft carrier against Cobra. To win the winner got the weather dominator, and the good guys won. Lucky for us.
Fuck yeah.
But they swear to God none of this is happening. Now Sean Ryan has done some very interesting things on like these direct energy weapons and all these other, and there's some real wild stuff. There's some crazy stuff with an island down
tsunamis.
There's a crazy stuff. What do they call it? Something with a B. There's an island that isn't on Google Maps and that is on Google. And there's like radiation coming out of it. So I don't know. They're definitely not doing something, and you're crazy if you think that they are doing something, except when they admit that they're doing something, and then it's like, it's not that big deal that we're doing something. We've always been doing this something. So what's the big deal? So I just don't understand why Disney would want to go back in time and retcon the sky. You know, if that's true, assuming that's true, it could be false because, you know, it seemed like the guy and the translator kept switching back and forth between languages, so I can't identify.
Yeah,
but
hard to follow.
If that's true, like you like to say, Mick, cui bono? Who benefits from retconning the sky in 60-year-old movies? For what purpose?
The government.
For what purpose?
To lie to us.
Oh, you're AOC and ASMR right now?
Yes.
Maui was always going to catch on fire. It was just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. Don't ask any questions. Those 700 kids are probably fine. Probably.
How come it hasn't been rebuilt, but we're still sending so much money to other countries?
Yeah, why
Only $700 to the people of the Maui fire.
Why didn't anything in blue catch on fire?
I'm still wondering that the umbrellas were fine.
Yeah, we're talking about building back Gaza.
The roofs must have been made out of inflammable material. That was blue.
You know what else is as old as time? You know what else is as old as time? People trying to cover up their farts.
Oh.
No score.
Brett, why do you have so many books?
Oh, in case I have a fart, cover my fart.
Oh.
Jesus.
Oh.
I think I just pooped my pants.
What do you mean, what?
Why are you guys so gross?
I told Candace yesterday about a ghost poop, and I think she was almost going to walk off set.
Ghost poop?
I took a ghost poop.
What's that mean?
A ghost poop. I felt like I had to poop, and then I went down to poop, and
Doing this again.
I thought I pooped. Well, it turned out it was just a fart. There was nothing in the bowl. But then this is when it gets weird. Then you got to clean yourself up because you're not an animal, and there was poop on the paper. So why was there poop on the paper but no poop in the bowl? It was a ghost poop.
Poop in a bowl.
It just
poop
disappeared.
On a paper, but no poop in a bowl. Hey, Candace, is there anything better than a no wiper? Where you just have a clean break?
You're just going to keep running with it. There's just where to go through all the different kinds.
You got to love that. I mean, obviously you check, and then you're like, whoa. You just saved me about 20 minutes of cleanup.
I got nothing but respect for those guys that have, like, they're in high school and they got the confidence to poop in public. I never had that confidence.
No?
Nah, I couldn't pull it off. I just, but there's always that one or two, like, jokester who's, like, always got the one, and you're like, man, that guy's going places.
Have you checked in? Has he indeed gone places?
Yeah, to jail.
Yeah.
I think he goes and gets.
Has he indeed gone?
I think he goes to the methadone clinic on the weekends. Re-ups.
You know what that reminded me of? I think it was a joke of yours where it's like you used to cough to cover up a fart, and then during COVID you'd fart to cover up a cough.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want people knowing, thinking you're coughing, thinking you have a cold. So it's better to fart instead of.
It's remarkable. It's a remarkable time in our history to think that Corona made it out of the pandemic, but Bud Light didn't. Like, it's a really remarkable thing. Like,
Corona the beer.
Better to be sick than gay, I guess. I don't know. So are you one of these people that, like, you've been married to your husband for 15 years and never farted in front of him?
I've never done that in my life.
Never farted?
No.
Hell yeah,
Not once.
Girls don't do that.
Not once?
Girls don't do that.
Not for free anyway.
No.
Go to of.com.
You could go see Candace farting on a cake.
Are you one of those people that
I'm
are
like Kim Jong-un. I don't even have a butthole. Sometimes it shows that everything was CGI'd if you think you've ever seen it.
It's not a real butthole.
It's not a real one.
They had the Marvel guys in there just going with the stencil.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
Just a second vagina.
Well, it's...
Well, on that note, This has been Canceled Weekly. That's Candace. He's Gerard. I'm Mickey. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.